everyone, welcome back to my channel, Everlynn's Books and Tea. For today's video, we will be doing our April reading challenge. So the challenge that we got for April was to use ChatGPT to choose a reading theme for a 24-hour reading vlog. Instead of the 24-hour reading vlog, this may just turn into a regular reading vlog because I don't know when I may fit in a full 24 hours. So we'll kind of have to see how it goes. The important thing, though, is the ChatGPT aspect of this. So ChatGPT is a open source AI, so open source artificial intelligence that is free online through, I think it's Google. You can ask questions to it and receive answers. I've seen a lot of creators use ChatGPT and other AI models in their videos, mostly on the gaming side of things. I haven't seen it so much in other aspects. But I think it's a really fun idea to use, and I'm excited to try it in this reading challenge. So what we're going to do is pull up ChatGPT and ask it to give us a theme for this reading vlog. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and ask it to give us a theme for this potential 24-hour reading vlog, or just a normal reading vlog, and see what it gives us. Okay, so this is a fun option. It has chosen a literary world tour where we can choose books from anywhere in the world and read them. So I like this theme. It sounds a lot of fun, but the only issue is it is a very wide and vast theme. You could probably fit almost any book into this theme, and that kind of gets rid of the challenge part of the reading challenge. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT if it can narrow this theme down a little bit. All right, so it narrowed it down into continents. So we have Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So this is a little bit better, but it's still a pretty wide theme. Again, being able to choose any book from Europe or any book from Africa, again, doesn't really give me that challenge feel. We want to be able to narrow it down a little bit further, so it's a little bit more difficult to find books that fit the theme. So let's go ahead and ask it one more time to give us some more themes that fit under each of these categories and see what it does. Okay, so this is more what we are trying to get at. So these themes are a lot more narrow, and the books are going to fit together a little bit better with these themes. So let's kind of do a quick glance through them, see what they're like, see which ones we may want to choose, and we'll go from there. So first up, we have the European category, and we have 3 subcategories under it: Mysteries in Europe, Historical Europe, and Contemporary European Voices. These sound like pretty good options. I think out of the 3, I would probably choose Mysteries in Europe because I love a good mystery set in Europe. I enjoy it because not only are you getting a mystery, you also are exploring different cities throughout Europe. So I think that would be a fun option. So let's move on to the Asian subcategory. We have our 3 options, which are modern Japanese literature, historical Asia, and Asian mythology and folklore. I think of these 3, I would love to read some books on Asian mythology and folklore. I love fantasy, and I love reading fantasy books based on mythology. But I haven't really read a lot based on Asian mythology. I've read, the Percy Jackson series based on Greek mythology. I've read some on Norse mythology. So I think it'll be fun to find some books that are based on Asian mythology and see and kind of read from that aspect. All right, so now let's move on to the African continent and see what categories we got there. So we have African diaspora literature, we have contemporary African voices, and we have African Adventure. I actually read one of these books under African Adventure, and that was the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I actually read it as part of my Around the World Challenge when the country that was chosen was the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was a good read. The characters were very real, and some of the characters you loved and some of them you did not like at all and were wondering what was going on in their minds throughout this whole thing. So I think I would like to read some more books set around that type of theme. So of those three, I think my favorite would be African Adventure. And then last up, we have the Latin American category, and our subcategories under that are magical realism, Latin American classics, and contemporary Latin American voices. So out of those three, I would probably go with magical realism. I've heard a lot about this subcategory, but I haven't really read a lot of books in it, and I'm interested to see what those books would be like. So I think out of this category, I would probably go with magical realism. But unfortunately, I am not the one choosing the theme for this reading vlog. That would be ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT to randomly choose one of these subcategories as the theme of this reading vlog. All right, here we go. It's all in ChatGPT's hands. All right, here it is. We will be reading Asian mythology and folklore. Asian mythology and folklore. So this should be a fun theme for a reading vlog. There's probably a lot of books out there that are going to fit this theme, and I'm excited to go out and look for them. I actually know which book we're going to start with in this reading vlog, though. It's a book that I have owned for a while now, and it's been on multiple of my TBRs, and I've never actually gotten to it to read it in those months. So now is the perfect time to read it and see how it is. So the book that we will be starting out this reading vlog with is Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Emily Wen Zhao. So this is a book that is inspired by mythology and folklore of ancient China. This book, I always have trouble explaining this book for some reason. I don't know why. So this book is set in what is known as the Last Kingdom. And the Last Kingdom was known for its practitioners of magic until one day invaders came and kind of took over the Last Kingdom, bringing their own magic and not allowing the citizens of the Last Kingdom to practice theirs. One of the main characters is Lan, and she has a deep hatred for these invaders for multiple reasons, but for the main reason is that when they invaded her kingdom, they killed her mother in front of her. And her mother's last action was to place this mark on Lan's arm. And she has no idea what this mark is, but she has devoted her life since her mother's death to figure out what this mark is and what it means. One day she ends up running into this boy, Zen. I think that's his name. Yes, Zen, who happens to be one of the last practitioners of magic. Him and his fellow practitioners are in hiding, and they are trying to find a way to overthrow those who overtook the Last Kingdom. Zen realizes that the mark on Lan's arm signifies that she has the ability to practice magic, but the mark in and of itself has its own very strong power. So he ends up bringing her back to where the last practitioners of magic in the Last Kingdom are to kind of figure out what this mark is and how to find what is driving its power. There, the two of them have secrets that they're hiding from each other, that they're hiding from themselves, and they have the power and the ability to either save the Last Kingdom or to destroy it. I think that was a pretty good explanation. So that is Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, and this is a book that we are going to start out with. Like I said, this is a young adult fantasy novel, so it should be a fairly quick read. It's a long book, it's over 400 pages, but the words are pretty big, so it shouldn't take too long to read, hopefully. So I'm going to get started on this book, and then I will check in with you when I have some interesting things to share. So I'll see you in a little bit. So it's 8 o'clock at night now. I've made it through about 200 pages of this book. Now that being said, I did end up having to run an errand that I totally forgot about. So that took away some of my reading time, and that is why I am only through 200 pages in about 5 hours. But I am absolutely loving this book. It's been really fast-paced and really captivating to read it, and even from the first chapter, it kind of drew me in. And I'm finding it a very easy read just because I don't know if it's the way she writes it, or I'm not sure what, but It's very easy to read and just kind of draws your attention in, which is great for a 24-hour readathon. I'm loving the two main characters, Zen and Lan. They've been really fun and entertaining to read. They are completely opposite in character, which has been kind of a nice little mishmash, and kind of goes along with one of the themes in her stories, which is yin and yang. Each chapter alternates between each of their viewpoints, so that's been nice because you kind of get to see both sides of things, and you're not left in the dark about what one character is thinking or why one character is acting one way or another, which I enjoy. I always like to kind of see both sides. The other thing that I found really nice about this book is the magic system. You can tell that the author spent a really long time thinking about this magic system and coming up with the rules of it. And she presents the information in a really nice way. It's not just an info drop. You kind of find out things as they occur in the book. And you find out the positives of the magic system, how it works, but then the author has also incorporated some negatives to it as well, which is important, I feel, because otherwise whoever wields the magic would be unstoppable, basically. So there are some drawbacks when you use it, which I feel is important in any magical system that's created. So like I said, I am 200 pages through this book. It's been a great read so far, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. I think it's the first book in the duology. I'm definitely going to check out the second, which I think released this year, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And I definitely want to look at some of her other books as well, because I really enjoy how she writes her stories. They are fun to read. They are captivating, and which makes them nice and quick to read and brings your attention straight in. All right, so I'm going to get back to reading. I will check in with you when I finish the book, which will hopefully be tonight. And if I don't check in with you tonight, I'll check in depending on how late it is. When I finish it, I will definitely check in with you tomorrow morning before we start our second book. So I will see you soon. It's 11:30 at night, and I have about 100 pages left to go, so almost through. Still enjoying the book. There have been a little bit more repetitive parts than there were in the beginning, but overall still enjoying the story and enjoying the pace of the story for the most part. There's not much I can really say about the plot of the book at this point, because that would entail a lot of spoilers. But things are definitely happening now. The pace has picked up some, and you can tell that we are coming to the crisis point and then hopefully to a conclusion. Though this is a duology, so who knows how the book will close. Hopefully it's not on a big cliffhanger, because I really do not like books in the series that end on a huge cliffhanger. I like series where a book's plot is mostly wrapped up, and then there's just a little point that kind of takes you into the next point. But the ones that end on big cliffhangers that are not, they're just not my favorite. So we'll see how this book ends. But I think that's about all I have to say for now. My cat is way past due for her bedtime snack, and she's been letting me know that for the past about 45 minutes or so. So I better go feed her before she tries to feed herself, which, never goes well. So I'm going to go do that, and then hopefully get in maybe another 50 pages tonight, which will leave me with, I guess, 50 pages in the morning, and then we can start in on the second book. I'll probably end up only reading 2 books for this vlog, just because of how the time is coming out, and because these books all seem to be over 400 pages, and when I'm reading a 400-page book, I cannot read it straight through. I need to take little breaks here and there so that my mind doesn't wander and I can actually focus on the plot. So even if they are YA and a little bit of a lighter read. All right, so I think that's it for tonight, and I will see you guys in the morning. Oh, and sorry for the light for this part of the video. My bright lights are on a timer, and that is set for when I travel and stuff, and I forgot to turn that timer off, so the bright lights all went off about half an hour ago. So I'm left with one lonely soft
light, which is why the lighting looks like this. But I was a little too lazy to get up and turn on the bright lights because it's 11:30 at night and I'm getting tired. So, like I said, I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully we will finish this book and then get started on the second one. I'll see you in the morning. It is now the next day, and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the next day. And a couple of hours ago, I finished Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, and completed book 1 of this reading vlog. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. I did enjoy the story. There were some slower parts in the middle of the book compared to the beginning and the end. The end definitely picked up, especially in the last 150 pages or so, where kind of the concluding conflict began and ran its course. So I still enjoyed the 2 main characters by the end of the book, though I grew to like Lan a little bit more than Zen. Lan, again, was the girl who was given a seal on her wrist by her mother and didn't know that she was a practitioner of magic, that she was capable of channeling magic and using it. So you kind of saw her grow throughout the book and learn what magic in this world was and what she could actually do with her powers. Zen, on the other hand, was always a practitioner of magic, and he grew in a different way, I guess you could say, and things definitely changed with him as well. I would say that I enjoyed his viewpoints in the beginning of the book, but the further on I got, his chapters were a little bit of a slower read to me than Lan's. I felt like there was a lot more going on in Lan's chapter than there were in Zen's, and I definitely enjoyed reading her side of things a little bit more at the end of the book. I felt this book came to a pretty good conclusion. It kind of wrapped up the plot points in this first book and then laid the foundation for what is going to happen in the second book. There was really clear directions or guidelines of what to expect in the second book, and it does seem like a lot that Lan has to accomplish in the second book, but we'll see how that all fits in. I'm definitely going to go on and read the second book, though not in this reading vlog. I have to purchase it, and since I have this one in hardcover, I am going to get the second one in hardcover as well, so they match. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this, I think it's a duology, I hope it's a duology, ends, and how everything kind of gets wrapped up. I did read some reviews on Goodreads about this book. They were hit or miss. Some really enjoyed it, some did not. Though some did complain about info dumps in the book. I didn't feel like there was that many info dumps, as I said, when I first started this book. Though I did realize I was coming off reading some historical fiction books where there are long paragraphs of prose within those. So this didn't have that. And that could be why I didn't feel like there was as many info dumps as some people felt. The other thing is that this is also my first book really based on mythology that originated in Asia. So it was kind of my first book into this world. And I know some people have read other books, such as the Poppy War, I believe it is, felt that this book was based a little bit on that. I haven't read the Poppy War. I'm definitely one to read it because I have heard good things about it. But it's a little bit of a longer book, so I'm probably not going to fit that into this vlog, but I definitely want to put it on my list for the future. I've come to realize that I'm not good at just reading books straight through. I like to take breaks, and then those breaks kind of lengthen a little bit, and then this happens where I don't finish the book until, I think it was like noon, I finished it today. So what we're going to do instead of making this a 24-hour reading vlog, we're just going to make this a regular reading vlog. So we got one book down. The next book I have chosen is a middle grade book based on, I think it's mythology of India. It's called Arusha in the End of Time. And it's by Roshani Chokshi. And it's book 1 in her Pandova series. So this is a little bit of a shorter book. It's about 100 pages shorter, and it's middle grade, so I'm hoping I can get through this book a little bit quicker. All right, so I'll be reading this one on my Kindle. There's the cover of it. I think the cover looks very nice. This book follows 12-year-old Arusha, whose school has just ended for autumn break, and while her classmates are off traveling the world, she's stuck at home which happens to be the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture. So one day, while she's hanging out, 3 of her classmates show up because they want to catch her in a lie, and they don't believe her claims that the museum's lamp of Bharata is cursed, and they want to dare Aru to prove it. So she ends up lighting the lamp, thinking everything would be fine if she just lit it real quickly. So that ends up awakening the sleeper, whose only goal is to awaken the god of destruction, which obviously is probably not a good thing. And now her classmates and her mom are all frozen in time, and Aru has to save them all. And to do that, she has to find the reincarnations of the 5 legendary Pandava brothers, which are the protagonists of a Hindu epic poem. So that seems like a lot that's going to happen in this book. So it is middle grade. So like I said, I'm hoping it'll be a quick read. It sounds interesting, and it sounds like it should be a fun journey. So I'm going to get started on this, and I'll check in with you when I'm about halfway through. The nice thing about today is it's kind of a stormy type day. Thunderstorms seem to be rolling through here. I do have a couple of errands to run this afternoon as well, but I'm hoping that I can finish this book by the end of the day. So I will check in with you in a little bit. I'm not even 25 pages into the book, and we've already let out the demon, and now we have a talking pigeon. So this could be a wild ride. We shall find out. I just had to tell someone that I'm reading a book with a talking pigeon in it who doesn't think very highly of Aru's capabilities, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to keep reading. I will let you know if I find anything else interesting. Otherwise, I'll check in with you once I'm halfway through the book. I'll see you soon. I am not quite halfway through the book yet, but my iPad where I'm reading this book, the battery is down to less than 10%, so I need to go recharge it before I can read anymore, and it's 8 o'clock at night. So I'm probably going to recharge it, watch a little TV, and then get back to reading, but this will probably be my last check-in for today. I am really enjoying this book. It's just a fun middle grade read. It reminds me a lot of the Percy Jackson series, only this book is based on mythology of India. And like I said, it follows the main character, Aru, and then there's actually a second character that is introduced really early in the book named Minnie. And the 2 of them have been sent on this quest to stop the sleeper demon from awakening the god of destruction. So this all happened in the first 25 pages, so it's not really a spoiler. But how it starts is Aru is visited in the museum where she lives by the 3 kids who have been bullying her at school, and they have threatened to reveal the truth that she is not in Paris, like she's tried to tell everyone in the school. She goes to this boarding school where a lot of people are rich and afford, have like houses out in the Maldives, and she does not. Her mom's always away getting artifacts for the museum, so she kind of makes up these stories that she tells to the other kids at school, just trying to fit in. And these 3 other kids are threatening to tell the school that she has been lying, that she's not actually in Paris, unless she does one thing for them, and that is show them a lamp and then light the lamp, even though she is not supposed to do that, but she doesn't know why. So she ends up giving in and lighting this lamp, and that releases the sleeper demon. And when that demon gets released, the entire area where she lives, all the people are frozen, except for her. Then all of a sudden, the pigeon shows up as well, and she's off on this quest. And along the way, they pick up Minnie, and they go to where, I guess, the gods of Indian mythology live. And the 2 of them, plus the pigeon, which they are calling Boo, are sent on this quest to gather these 3 keys. By using these 3 keys and some other stuff, I think I kind of forgot a little bit about what the other stuff they have to do. They are to stop the sleeper demon from waking up the god of destruction, and they have 9 days to do this. And if they don't finish it within the 9 days, then everyone in the world will be asleep forever, basically, is what it sounds like. So pretty big quest. The pigeon character reminds me a lot of the genie in Aladdin. He's just kind of like a comedic relief, but he's also guiding the 2 girls in the world of mythology and kind of helping them along the way. He's kind of like their guardian. So this Like I said, this is just a fun middle grade type book to read. It's a fun plot. The writing is quick and easy to read and has a lot of comedic points in it as well. And I'm just really enjoying it. It's kind of like a nice, refreshing book, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. It definitely reminds me a lot of the Percy Jackson series, except that instead of being based on Greek mythology, it's based on the mythology of India. The other thing is that the author, Percy Jackson, who I'm blanking on the name, but I'll write it up here, he actually wrote the foreword for this book and kind of endorsed it as well. So if you enjoy the Percy Jackson books and kind of like the quests that those kids went on, you'll probably enjoy this one as well. And it's kind of fun just to learn a different mythology. So I'm going to go plug in my iPad so I can get charged up so I can get back to reading. I also got to go feed my cat. She's due for her dinner and her insulin shot. And I will get back to you in the morning and let you know how much further I got in the book. Hopefully I'll be close to finishing it by then, but we'll see. So I'll talk to you soon.
All right. So I have completed the final book we are going to read for this vlog, and that is Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chotsky. And this book was just so much fun to read. I love middle grade books that have kind of like a comedic angle in them. It just makes it a little bit more interesting to read, and it keeps your attention a little bit better. And the comedic relief that they chose in this book was not only Aru, who had her own moments, but also the pigeon that just put in his thoughts throughout the book, and they were definitely interesting and entertaining to read. I really enjoyed reading from Aru's viewpoint, and her friend that went along on this quest with her was a good choice because the two of them had very different strong points in their abilities, and they complemented each other very well, and they kind of fed off each other as far as the courage to do some of the things that they had to do in this quest. The book itself was based on mythology from India, and it did introduce you to a lot of different mythology, which was kind of fun to read about. I don't know a lot about mythology of India. Most of what I know is, your typical Greek mythology, especially from the Percy Jackson series. So it's fun just reading about a different mythology and learning about all the different gods and goddesses, I guess, in a different culture. This book itself is based off of the Pavlova brothers, which are these brothers that are able to kind of reincarnate themselves through time. And this was the first book in the series. I think there's another 4 of them, 3 or 4. This book introduced 2 of the initial Pavlova reincarnations, and I'm assuming that the next books kind of introduce the remainder of them. Like I said, I just want to read the rest of the series. The first book was really fun to read. It's a perfect book for when you've just come off of a more challenging series or challenging book, or if you're just having trouble, if you're in like a reading slump, it definitely helps you get out of that because it's a quick book to read. It's fast paced, and the plot and the characters are just a lot of fun to read about. So I'm excited to fit in the rest of the books in the series, hopefully later on this year, and kind of see where the series goes from here. So that is going to complete this reading vlog. I know I only read 2 books, but April kind of got away from me, and I don't really have time to add a 3rd book to this vlog. I'm very happy with the theme that ChatGPT chose, and it allowed me to read a book that's been on multiple TBRs in the past, and then it also introduced me to a brand new series that I'm looking forward to continuing. So overall, I think this was a successful challenge, and I'm excited to see what my May challenge is going to be. Hopefully it will be just as fun and will introduce me to some new authors and some new books as well. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. Definitely check out both books, especially if you enjoy kind of like the middle grade fantasy and need like a quick book to read to get out of a reading slump or whatnot. The Arusha series seems like it's going to be a good one. I hope everyone is having a good reading month, enjoying the books that they're reading, and I will check in with you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye!